School-dazed versus the disabled. So, my parents are absolute saints. They purchased a 4-bedroom colonial in the early 1980s with property that borders an elementary school. In the 1980s, while they were planning on starting a family, this was a brilliant move. Both school and a playground basically in the backyard. It's a lovely, sleepy neighborhood in a great district. Fast forward to the early 2000s. My brother and I were already in high school. This school was absolutely overcrowded, and the district decides to save funds by slashing busing. If you do not live more than 5 miles from school, you do not get a bus ride. Busing goes from 10 buses to 2. Thus, the stage is set for over 200 cars filled with the worst entitled parents descending on our sleepy neighborhood every day, twice a day. Parking all over the place in oversized SUVs on narrow streets that can barely handle 2 sedans passing each other. Tensions between the neighborhood and the school, well, the school parents, escalated steadily until the next road over banded together to get one-side parking during school drop-off and pick-up hours. Why did it reach a peak enough to seek legal action? Because, well, an ambulance couldn't get down the road to respond to an elderly neighbor's fall due to all these crap entitled parents basically blocking the road. This shuffled half of those cars onto my parents' street. Tensions between the neighbors and the school parents were at a boiling point. I tried to convince my parents to just move, but the housing bubble had just burst. Now, at some point, someone discovered a back exit to the school building near the other end of our road off a small dead end. I'm not talking a cul-de-sac, but an honest dead end with just 4 houses, 2 on each side. Cue the swarm of cars to that side of the road. So basically, our neighborhood is an impassable parking lot for an hour around dismissal. One of our neighbors on that street is a disabled woman. Lovely, sweet, older woman, but she has problems getting around and numerous medical appointments. But no problem, she had a slightly overwidth driveway to make it easier for her to get in and out of her car. She came out of the house one afternoon on her way to an appointment, only to find someone had blocked her entire driveway. Fortunately, the driver, our entitled mother, was still in the vehicle. My neighbor approached, gently knocked on the window, and asked the woman to kindly move her vehicle to unblock the driveway. Our entitled parent decided the appropriate response was, "No!" My neighbor tried to explain that she needed to get to a medical appointment. Our entitled parent responded with, "And I need to pick up my kid." My neighbor gently reminded her that she was blocking a driveway illegally. Our entitled parent asked, "Well, where else am I supposed to park?" My neighbor suggested another street a little further away that had ample parking at that time of the day and walk. Entitled parent, of course, was having none of that. This mother decided to play the "but I'm a disabled" card, arguing that she couldn't possibly walk that far. To which my neighbor kindly pointed out that the school had plenty of handicapped parking right in front of the main entrance. And that's when our entitled parent started cussing out my neighbor. In the end, my neighbor had to call the cops. This did not improve relations between the residents and the school. Oh no. And our next story was posted by user Hackerman, titled, "Entitled parent almost gets herself $800 in the hole and evicted." So, when I was a teenager, some issues with my parents led to me falling into the care of my nicer auntie, henceforth NA, nice aunt. About a year into me living with nice aunt and her kids, her husband was a trucker and frequently gone, but will be TU, trucker uncle. My manipulative bee of an aunt, this story's lucky entitled parent, henceforth entitled auntie, managed to weasel her way into her and her family staying for a few months because she got herself kicked out of her old place. A few months after the entitled auntie moved in, about a year or so ago, her daughter, henceforth ED, started to complain about my Magic the Gathering decks and Dungeons the Dragons books being in the dining room. For clarification, the stuff was sitting on a small table out of the way in the dining room because I would frequently play Dungeons and Dragons with my male cousins and play Magic the Gathering with both my male cousins and my uncle. Well, entitled auntie always had a habit of throwing away things that she didn't care about, even if the stuff wasn't hers. She approached me, and the conversation went as follows.
You need to get your shit out of the dining room.
It's not like it's in the way. Plus, auntie and uncle said I could leave it there since I use that stuff to play with my male cousins frequently.
Well, my daughter said that it was in the way, and she didn't appreciate it taking up so much space.
It's in an organized pile on top of a small table that no one uses.
I don't care. Get your shit out of the dining room or I'm throwing it away.
You do that and I'm footing you the bill to replace it all.
You don't have the right to demand anything of me.
You're the guest and it's my stuff that I had permission to keep there. You have no right to touch it.
You would look up crazy expensive prices for them because you hate me.
No, I would give you the current market prices, be them higher or lower than what I originally paid for them.
Why the hell would I give you more than what you paid for them?
Because values of collected items change over time depending on supply and demand. You would, or paying the current price to replace them.
I'm not replacing shit.
Then you aren't throwing my stuff away.
Whatever.
She walks off in a huff and backs to her room. Skip to about a week and a half later, my uncle is back in town for a weekend. He and I are playing Magic the Gathering when entitled auntie comes in trying to start trouble again.
Your nephew there has been causing me a lot of stress and has tried bossing me around.
What did he do?
He was demanding money from me, accusing me of destroying his crap.
My uncle, turning to me, says, is this true? Not really. She was threatening to throw away my Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons stuff. I told her that if she did, I would be expecting her to replace it. I see.
Even if I did do it, it's just a few books and cards. How much could that possibly be?
Trucker uncle, turning to me, says, well, you're the one who buys most of your cards and books. How much would it be? Well, the 3 books have an MSRP of $20 each, but they are from 2000 and out of print. The most readily available versions would be the latest release.
$60 for 3 books?
Oh, hold on a second, and before you get too ahead of yourself, that was back in 2000. The 5th edition books, which run about $50 each or $100 for the box set of 3.
He's just pulling these numbers out of his ass.
Oh, let him finish. Then I have about $30 to $40 worth of dice. Before we even get to the cards, there are 4 deck boxes worth $10 each, and 2 worth $15 each, and then 6 boxes of card sleeves at $10 each.
That's like $160 plus $100 for books.
I'm not gonna ask you again, let him finish. And me, pointing to each deck as I go along. That deck is about $30, that deck's about $60, that one's about 40, oh, that one's 80, and that one's about $290, and the one in the sleeve box is around $30. And how much is that in total? Oh, it's $7.90 before shipping.
He's making all that up.
Is that true? Not at all. I keep my decks logged in this app. It gives me the market price for each card, not counting basic lands, which I have plenty of. My uncle, turning to entitled auntie, says, well, there's your quote with proof. If you throw his stuff away, you owe him a minimum of $800. And if you refuse, you can find somewhere else to live, like you've technically supposed to have been doing this whole time. I will not have a guest throwing away the property of someone who actually lives here.
Whatever.
And she walks back off to her room in a huff. Now that's over. Whose turn was it again? It's your turn. You were just about to untap. Thanks for reading this wall of text. And everyone claps. What an epic story. Our next story was posted by user Social Media Misfit, titled, Entitled Mom Tries to Ruin Her Daughter's Wedding. First time posting. Please forgive any of my mistakes. Buckle up, this is a long one. This just happened about 11 days ago during my stepdaughter's wedding and reception, with the entitled mother being her mother. Entitled mother has been an entitled mother for as long as I've known her, around 20 years. But it's almost as if she was biding her time, waiting for this day to shine as the entitled mother she truly is. For context, this woman has cheated on every single man she has ever had a significant relationship with. When SD was planning the wedding, she was considering having 4 of the men in her life who have had a major impact take turns walking her down the aisle. Entitled mother said,
You can't do that. It'll make me look bad.
like a bitch, you did that to yourself. This is how delusional that woman is. Anyway, onto the story, or rather 5 mini stories that happened throughout the day. Pre-ceremony, I sat in the left side front row, aisle seat, empty space to my left, and my son next to that space. My hubby, Estee's father, was walking Estee down the aisle, and I planned to move into the empty space so he could sit on the aisle seat after giving away the bride. As soon as I moved over, Entitled Mother came out of nowhere and plopped a giant ass down in the aisle seat. I didn't want to make a scene during Estee's wedding, so I just let it go, but I wanted to push her off the seat and tell her to get lost.
She said, They told me to sit here.
There was no they, and nobody told her to sit there. Between the ceremony and the reception is when the professional photographs were taken. It took more than an hour. Not surprisingly, Estee's 1-year-old son started to get impatient and hungry. Entitled Mother set him in a high chair at her table and gave him a full tray of watermelon. What's wrong with this, you ask? The boy had been the ring bearer, so was needed for some of the photographs, and he was still wearing his white dress shirt. Stepdaughter was livid when the boy was brought over for his photos and was covered in bright pink stains. Because Entitled Mother is notorious for making things needlessly difficult, Stepdaughter didn't want her involved in any of the wedding planning, including but not limited to decorating. The night prior to the wedding, Stepdaughter set up the reception area photos hanging from it of loved ones who had passed and thus could not join the couple for their day. Stepdaughter specified that the memorial table was kept clear of any other items, so that the loved ones could be the focus. While the couple was having their photographs taken, Entitled Mother began meddling. She removed a honeymoon fund box from the gifts and cards table and set it up on the memorial table, along with the leftover party favors. Cheesy little foam camouflage can koozies on the memorial table. Stepdaughter's dad and I couldn't keep quiet over this one and let Stepdaughter know what Entitled Mother had done. She turned on me, once again livid, and said a simple, "Move them back." I replied with a knowing grin. I thought so. And so we moved them back. Along the same lines, after she finished redecorating the memorial table, Entitled Mother did something that still boggles my mind. I get that she's the mother of the bride, but there are some things that even the mother of the bride just should not do. This woman had the audacity to rearrange the head table. The head table, the centerpiece of the reception, the place where most of the photographs would be taken during the reception. The table that the bride had decorated in exactly the way she wanted it. No, Entitled Mother decided she could do it better. And who does that? Finally, to top off the night, Entitled Mother had one last trick up her sleeve. Stepdaughter's 1-year-old son and 4-year-old daughter were going home with Stepdaughter's dad, my hubby, and me to spend the week with while Stepdaughter and her new hubby went on their honeymoon. It would be the first time for the little one to sleep over at our house. Because we knew it would be hard on him being someplace new in the first place, we wanted to make sure that he was actually tired and ready to sleep when we got home, so hopefully he would crash instead of lying awake crying. Nope. Entitled Mother decided she knew better. She took the boy with her and sat down on a swinging bench, snuggled him up to her, and rocked him to sleep. It was about 8 p.m. at that point, and we wouldn't be getting the kids home until around 10 p.m. as it was. So having him sleep that close to bedtime meant that he would never go back to sleep when it was time. I'd had enough. I'm surprised I was able to be kind, but I went up to her and said, "We don't want him sleeping now, or he won't sleep when we get him home."
But he hasn't slept all day.
I realize it, but it's too close to bedtime now. He will be wide awake when he should be sleeping later. The Entitled Mother, in a super fake, honey sweet voice goes, "Oh, I didn't know." Okay, well, I'm not good at confrontation, so I just started to walk away. Next thing I see is Stepdaughter looking angry and storming over towards Entitled Mother and me. For a moment, I thought she was mad I had said anything to her mother. I should have known better, because next thing I know, she's walking up to me with the baby boy in her arms, and she says jokingly, "Next time I have to tell off my mother and take my kid away from her, don't walk away." We laugh, and she hands me baby boy, who I snuggle with, but keep awake until we pack up and leave an hour or so later. Entitled mother could be found sulking on the bench swing, looking ever so sorry for herself after the tongue lashing I imagine stepdaughter gave her. Somehow, I couldn't make myself feel bad for her. As the saying goes, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. She played stupid games all day, and all she won was finding herself alone on a swing at the end of the day. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Also, links for my Instagram, Patreon, Discord, and Twitter are in the description below. I know a lot of you guys are saying the Instagram link doesn't work, but I've linked the username for my Instagram as well right next to it, so if it doesn't work, just search that on Instagram and you should find it. If there's anything you guys would like to see, be sure to hit me up in the comments below or on any of those social media platforms. And as always guys, have a great day and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!